Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice." While Dr. King's words are true, the arc of moral universe does not simply bend towards justice on its own. It requires people of courage to help bend it. James Cookie McDonald has been such a person. The eldest of 6 children, Jim McDonald was born here in Washington. His mother, Dorothy, and his stepfather, Howard Long, each had a strong and positive influence on him. Jim graduated from Washington High School, but his education in life was really just beginning. Jim entered the U.S. Army and he was stationed at various posts in the South. Near Camp Pickett, Virginia, Jim was refused when he tried to buy a bus ticket at the ticket counter of the station. He had to go to the back of the station in order to get a ticket from the very same clerk who was at the front counter. On his way home from Fort Bliss, Texas, Jim and his Army colleagues stopped at a diner to get a sandwich. Jim was told, "We don't serve your kind here, you'll have to leave." Jim came to the startling realization that he was putting his life on the line for his country, but there were places in America in the late 1950s where he couldn't even get a sandwich. He turned and slowly walked out. Jim describes it as the longest walk of his life. Jim McDonald channeled those experiences into his decades of activism and support of civil rights. From 1966 to 1970, Jim McDonald was president of the NAACP's Washington branch. Jim established the NAACP's first office in Washington and its first job bank. Jim knew that only with equal opportunity and jobs could there be strong families and inclusive communities. He worked tirelessly to break down systemic bias in employment practices. Another hallmark of McDonald's leadership during this critical period was to learn from the violent confrontations that occurred in other cities to help prevent them here in Washington. McDonald traveled to Mississippi to meet the family of slain civil rights leader Medgar Evers. It was still an era in the South when civil rights workers would send only one person to start the car because, as Jim recalled, if it was blown up, you wouldn't lose so many. Jim went to Los Angeles and Buffalo, where rioting had occurred. This allowed him to bear witness to what happened and to help achieve sustainable social justice right here in our own community. Jim's core belief was, and still is, if we communicate, we can make things better. Jim's civil rights work was influenced by Lew Waller. In 1968, at Waller's suggestion, Jim was appointed to the Washington School Board, where he helped to continue the integration initiatives begun earlier by Waller. For the inspiration for his civil rights work, however, Jim often credits his late wife, Joan. Joan believed in Jim and the cause. McDonald's trademark tenacity soon translated into success in his business career. Jim entered the insurance industry, bringing the African American community access to insurance products that were not available previously, and also becoming one of Prudential's most successful agents. Jim then pursued opportunities in PennDOT, enabling him to meet Steelers great L.C. Greenwood, with whom he formed a business partnership. Together they founded several businesses, including Greenwood McDonald Supply Company and Monolo Basin Engineers. From a small startup in 1980, Jim guided Monolo to become a regional leader in surveying and construction inspection services. Similar success has resulted from Jim's many efforts to better his community. Among these efforts were Jim's involvement in the formation of both Community Action Southwest and the Southwestern Pennsylvania Legal Aid Society as an original board member. He has also lent his support to the Cookie Jar, which helps fund scholarships through the Lemoyne Community Center. Massey Paul, who succeeded McDonald as CEO of Monolo, describes his leadership influence quite simply. Jim has taught us all to be better people. Following in the example of Jim and his late wife Joan is their daughter, Judge Tracy McDonald, who is charting her own remarkable course in service to these same ideas. Jim's life has been a lesson of perseverance, courage, and tenacity that he has paid forward to all young people in our community. And in that way, Jim McDonald's work can truly endure forever.